Hi, this is Congressman Guy Reschenthaler, and you're listening to Get Going with Guy, a conservative's guide to cutting through the propaganda of the woke left in the mainstream media, a podcast where hypocrisy has no home. All right, know the drill, bluff, bottom line up front. Here's the bottom line. Cuba deserves to be free. The people of Cuba deserve freedom. They've been living in a tyrannical nightmare brought to you by communism for decades, and it's time for it to end. I just wish that the Democrats, that the liberals, that the socialist sympathizers here in Washington, D.C., in the United States shared my sentiments. So think about it. Over the last few months, we've seen this growing movement in Cuba where the Cuban people are standing up to the tyrannical, the socialist authoritarian regime that's been running their lives. And what's the most beautiful part of this? Well, not just people yearning to be free and standing up for it, but the people in Cuba waving the American flag. They are looking at the United States as the symbol of freedom in the world. And the mainstream media this whole time has been telling us that it's really about COVID. It's about the fact that the communist regime isn't distributing the COVID vaccine in a organized, in equitable manner. That's nonsense, because last time I checked, the American flag, other than the fact that we invented the vaccine, but the American flag doesn't represent efficient distribution of COVID vaccine. What it represents is it represents freedom and democracy. That's why the people of Cuba are waving our flag. Now, AOC, the other sympathizer, the other communist sympathizers are lying to you when they say that the Cubans just want more from the government. They don't want anything from their government other than to be left alone. They want to be more like the United States. The left is terrified that the American people make this connection because they are trying to have socialist creep, communist creep. They want the government here to do more. And the people of Cuba have had enough. They realize that when the government promises things like free health care, fixed food prices, etc., that the government cannot ultimately deliver on that. The best way to rise standards of living, the best way to bring people out of poverty isn't through a downward spiral of state-controlled economy. It's through a free market. It's through democracy. And the far left, the mainstream media, the Democrats in Congress are afraid the American people will make this connection. So I think it's time for the United States to get more involved. We should be getting internet access to the people of Cuba immediately so they can communicate their resistance. We should be making it easier for them to communicate with family members in the United States, especially with those in places like Miami that have strong ties to the Cuban people. Now, if you want to say, how can I help? How can I make my voice heard to the Cuban people? You can do a few things. I want to say this. You can follow a few of my friends that are fighting and are leading on this issue. So, for example, Congresswoman Salazar, Congressman Mario Diaz-Balart, very good friend of mine, very focused on this issue. Mayor Carlos Jimenez, he's now in Congress, but he was the mayor of Miami. He is a fighter on this issue. He understands this issue. Nicole Malliotakis is another good one. Dan Crenshaw, my good friend, has been very vocal on this. Of course, Marco Rubio and Rick Scott have been also leaders on this issue. I think if you follow them and you listen to what they're saying, that'll give you the information on how you can help the people of Cuba and how you can stay in tune with what is going on in our neighbors to just 90 miles to the south of Florida. All right, so at the end of the day, it's more than just about Cuba. It's about the United States supporting democracies all over the world. China, Russia, North Korea, these other authoritarian regimes don't want freedom. The socialists here clearly don't want freedom. So it's a threat to them when the people of Cuba try to throw off the communist regime because it undermines what they're ultimately after, and that is the suppression and destruction of democratic states. All right, that's it for today, gang. I'll see you next time. And as always, just call me Guy.